And welcome to No Buts About It. It is Thursday, September 28th, 2023. And this is very odd for me, to anybody that has been very frequent on listening to the show, because Josh is not with me today. I have somebody else that I will introduce here in a minute. But for those of you who don't know who I am Chus, or as my actual name is going to be probably mentioned multiple times because Connor knows me as Chris. I am Chris, and I am the interim host for No Buts About It for the next couple of weeks. Josh, who runs the whole thing, is out with an eye injury. He had surgery a couple of days ago and is going to be out of commission here for the next month. So he asked me to take over for the next month so we can get some content and footage out for you guys and, just keep the No Buts About It show rolling for the next month without him here. So obviously we're going to have some different co-hosts filling in here. I'll be hosting as best as I can. This is my first go around. I've never done this before, but I'm going to do my absolute best here. And, so we're just going to see how this goes. But first and foremost, before I get into any NFL sports talk, I would like to introduce my buddy from home. He is also in Pittsburgh because I'm in my basement in Pittsburgh. He's in his second floor of his house in Pittsburgh. My buddy Connor Cox with his signed Cooper Cup jersey in his bedroom. So very epic. Connor, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Hey, listen, man, I'm happy to be here. It's an honor that you and Josh are trusting me to step in here, try to help out. But Super Bowl MVP signed Cup jersey, by the way, just
Oh,
gonna throw
that,
that
that's
out
that.
there. But it's a
Sorry,
big it's a big deal. It's
you
kind of
know
big.
what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Totally forgot that it was signed Super Bowl MVP. He was Super Bowl MVP, Cooper Cup legend. But he might be coming back this week. We'll probably get into that maybe. But
Yeah,
that might be good for the Rams coming off of that Monday Night Football loss, which unfortunately we won't have Bengals analysis for that because Josh was not here and neither of us really caught on to the game. I was working, but nonetheless, let's talk about something we both know. Steelers football on Sunday Night Football. Steelers and Raiders, baby. So, obviously, for any of those people out there who did not watch the game, the final score was 23-15. Had me sweating at the end of the game. Some questionable calls at the end with no, field goal, or they were calling a field goal instead of going for a touchdown. Obviously, there was that weird roughing the passer call for Minka. A lot of
yeah.
a lot of weird things were happening at the end of the game. What did you think of the game overall? Do you think the Steelers have improved? I mean, obviously we're 2-1 now. We're actually technically at the top of the division here, which is very odd, even
Yeah.
though we're tied with Ravens and
Well, we'll see how
Bills.
long that lasts. I think my biggest thought is like how long like the defense cannot carry the Steelers team week in and week out. They're not going to get three interceptions every week. TJ Watt's not going to have multiple sacks every week. It's not sustainable. Like the offense needs to get going because at some point the defense is going to tire out. Like it's just they can't win us a game every single week. But it is very hype, and I'm very happy to see the defense carry like it does. It's so electric seeing TJ Watt go out there, get multiple sacks, all those interceptions. It's great to see, but it's not sustainable, not at all.
Yeah, because there was a lot of concern going into the offense. Going into week 3. I mean, Kenny Pickett obviously had that beautiful, beautiful touchdown throw to Calvin Austin the third. Early on in the game, which was very big considering Kenny hasn't really done many of those throws since probably college. Honestly, I mean, he's done a couple of them, but nothing that's ever connected that hard. And granted, it was against the Raiders defense, but it did show obviously a lot of promise going into the Steelers offense. I mean, even that weird, I don't know if you caught on to it, but did you see that weird fake jet sweep that Matt Canada did when they threw that Pat Fryermuth touchdown? They had like one of the guys running. It was almost like a fake jet sweep, and then Kenny
And then
rolled out
Kenny
and
rolled
threw it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Well, whenever I'm watching it, you know how like all those stats came out about Canada's offense, where it's like 92% of the times in shotgun, he throws the
Yeah.
ball, and like 89 they run it. I wonder if he's aware that people know these numbers now, and that he's now trying to like throw a curveball in there or something. Because like, I mean, it was a great play, great touchdown by Fryermuth, but again, like something's got to change, man, with that offense because it was great seeing Kenny's able to stretch the field. I Are they going to give him the opportunity to stretch the field, or are they going to continue to keep short passes, jet sweeps? They changed the Najee was not being run coast to coast this time. They were actually having him run up the middle, which is I think is his strength. So
Yes.
it's like every week all this criticism comes on Canada, and then you see slight tweaks in the offense. You're like, oh, maybe he's changing. Maybe he's actually listening. But I mean, like you said, the Raiders' defense is weaker. It's the real test will be when they play the Browns again because the Browns have a really good defense. But next week, going up against Houston, I think the offense again. You should see improvement against Houston's defense. You should.
You would think. I mean, we hope, obviously. Um, there's a lot of, good direction, as we have mentioned, from week 3. It'll be very interesting to see how the Steelers do against Houston in Houston. Obviously we played pretty well in Vegas. Now we're back on these 1 o'clock games here in Houston. So we'll see how that goes this week. I hope that maybe this weird promotion for Matt Canada, because for those of you who don't know, he's actually getting more time with the quarterback development or something like that. I don't know exactly what his role is, but now he is like more of a higher up than just an offensive coordinator. He gets to work more directly with Kenny Pickett now, and all of a sudden we actually saw a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for the Steelers offense here. I don't know if it'll continue, but me and Connor both really hope that it does going into Houston with this
Yeah.
potentially CJ Stroud being one of the best rookie quarterbacks ever, because that is what the media is talking about right now, is how good Stroud's arm is, which he has had good fantasy production, but his real test will be this week because the Steelers defense is not slowing down.
Yeah, Stroud's in a tough situation. I mean, Houston, those quarterbacks who always get drafted really early, they're never going into great situations. So I know the O line is very weak in Houston, and I mean, even like Damian Pierce's fantasy numbers have reflected that. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how Stroud is able to hold up against that Steelers pass rush. Um, Again, and like I'm hoping to see like a good game from Kenny because even though he had that good play to Austin, um, still like something feels off about that offense. Like
Yeah.
I think that play where Kenny had that dude, Kenny threw it right to the defense. He like
Mm-hmm.
it was a horrible read. I don't know if someone ran the wrong route, but like we need to see something. But happy about the W, and I'm thinking they should win against Houston as well.
Yeah, I'm hopeful going into this Sunday, but we talked about the Steelers, and let's get into some other games because obviously I could probably talk all day about the Steelers. I know you
Yeah,
probably could too,
oh yeah.
but I
Listen,
know that there are some other games that we have watched this past Sunday, including a Packers comeback win over the Saints.
mhm.
I don't know how you felt about that, but a lot of people are now saying that Jordan Love is legit. Now, we don't really know where the Saints actually are because obviously they look like a good team, but are they just beating not so good teams? Are they actually beating generally good teams so early on in the season? But are the Packers legit? Is Jordan Love legit? Like, I don't know how much of that game you watched. I
Mhm.
saw like, a lot of good things from Jordan Love. He looks very comfortable. And, obviously they got that win on Sunday. I don't know how you feel about that or how Jordan Love is impressing you or not, but
Yeah. So to start the game, I thought Love looked a bit shaky. I knew he was going to throw a pick at some point in that game because he started off very almost careless. Like he was throwing the ball deep a lot, but towards the end of the game, he cleaned it up. Like he's got a lot of potential. I will say, like he's got a good arm. I watching him like the problem with they have a lot of injuries right now. Like they just put Bakhtiari or whatever on IR. That's a big loss for them. So I think that Love's got a lot of potential, and I think that if he can settle down, get ready, really like lock in to start the games, because if he played how he did in the second half and the first half, I think I think they would have confidently beaten the Saints. I mean, granted, they had the Saints had a good punt return, but I still I think Love's got it.
yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, I think Love's got it. I mean, I don't want to step. I don't want to take too big of a step here, but I know a lot of people have been saying that Jordan Love could be that next Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers type thing because they've got that weird flow going, and now Jordan Love is that guy. You know, he didn't show a whole lot last year. Whenever he did kind of fill in here and there, but this year it's almost like he has come into his own. You know, we'll see how he does. You know, in a couple of weeks and stuff like that because it's really early on. I always
Hmm.
say that with all teams, like you know, with the Bengals being 1-2 and even the Vikings being 0-3 and stuff like that. I always say like tread lightly because it's kind of hard to assume that one player, one team is going to be very good. And we'll kind of talk. We'll touch base on somebody that I was thinking about, which I have written down, and we'll get into that in a minute here. But nonetheless, Packers looked pretty solid. Big win for Jordan Love.
Hmm.
But how about that Colts upset with Anthony Richardson being out and Gardner Minshew picking up an
Man.
overtime win over the Baltimore Ravens? Honestly, I've said it for a while now. You know, I've been talking with some people. I know it might be just AFC North, you know, bias, but I don't think the Ravens are as good as we think they are.
Man, I mean, it is tough to talk without bias there. I I I mean, honestly, from an unbiased standpoint now, I have no idea who's going to take the AFC North. I feel like any of those teams can win that. I know the Ravens are favored still,
Mm-hmm.
but I it is tough. I do think the Ravens are a bit overhyped. Um, I mean, they do have a pretty solid defense. All the teams in the AFC North have a pretty decent defense. Um, I don't know. Lamar, they came into this year. They're like Lamar's going to use his arm, and then Odell got hurt already. And again, they're a run-oriented team, and I think they should just stick to that instead of trying to prove that Lamar can throw the ball. Like Lamar is a good quarterback. You just got to keep him, in his element.
Yeah, no, I honestly I agree because uh, Lamar, he's a very interesting quarterback because he does scramble a lot, and it does feel like he does get hurt a lot by scrambling so much and then getting sacked, and just he takes a lot of wear on his body. Obviously, they couldn't get it done against the Colts. You know, Minshew at one point was like 8 for 8, like on one of the drives, he was like 8 for 8, like 60 yards and a touchdown. Like it was a great run for Gardner Minshew. Obviously, still a really solid backup in the league. Definitely is never going to replace Anthony Richardson. So it's not going to
Mm-mm.
be a situation where it's going to be like, oh, is Anthony Richardson going to get benched for Gardner? And like, that's never going to happen. I doubt it. Because even in the first couple of weeks that Anthony Richardson played, I mean, he looks promising. And I've said this on the show. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you, Connor, but I'm kind of eating my words right now because I said that Anthony Richardson might be a bust, and he is probably looking like one of the best quarterbacks out of that draft currently.
Hmm.
So I don't know how to feel about it, but you know I'm glad he is proving me wrong because I always say that. But I mean we'll see what the Colts continue to do, but you know I think he's going to be back this week.
I
AR.
th- I think that if he took a page more out of Lamar's book, because Lamar he he runs a lot, but like he hasn't been injured all that much. I think
No, it's just like when it
Richardson,
counts.
yeah, well Richardson needs to start. I mean, dude's played what 2 games and has had 2 concussions. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
he
almost like
needs.
a Kenny Pickett repeat from last year.
Yeah, except Richardson's trying to get concussions. He's running with his head down, barreling in. I mean, I mean, I think he'll learn, and they'll teach him. Be like, listen, dude, you got to preserve yourself here. This because if he keeps that up, he might pull like a Luke Kuechly and have to retire early because of like
Yeah.
concussions.
Yeah, and I mean even Andrew Luck, you know, he retired pretty early on in his career and he was a Colt.
Hmm.
And like he retired I think like his late 20s. Like it was tough.
28? Was he 28? 27?
I
28?
was thinking like right around that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely like 27, 28. Like he wasn't young, but he definitely wasn't old for a
Nah,
quarterback.
yeah. I mean, it's those injuries, man. And like if he starts them now, it'll catch up to him 5 years from now where he'll be really questioning everything. But I mean, Buddy's got a cannon. Dude can
Yeah.
sling it, dude. So,
Yeah, and I we have to keep seeing it too. I'm excited to
yeah.
keep seeing it.
Yeah.
So, but you know, speaking of upsets, though, I called this one on the show, which you guys can go back and listen to that show if you don't believe me. But the Cardinals upset the freaking Cowboys.
Let's go. Let's
Bless up,
go.
Cardinals. I called it. I said that the Cardinals were going to upset the Cowboys. Josh, who is probably going to be mad at me because he has like he can't even like message or anything right now. But listen, I told you so. Cowboys weren't going to win. He called Cowboys. I called Cardinals. I was very impressed to see Joshua Dobbs actually look like a solid quarterback. Steelers legend backup Joshua Dobbs. Um, so yeah, I mean the Cardinals looked good. Did you have anything that impressed you the most about the Cardinals or the Cowboys not looking too hot? I mean, he was
I
throwing. Did you see that picture where it looked like Dak Prescott was just throwing to nobody?
yes, I did. I mean, at the start of the year, people kind of saw this coming from Dak. Let's be real. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in training camp, he had however many picks, and people were that's the Dak Prescott that people were expecting. But I thought it was like more the Cardinals played really well. I mean, like last week, they were up how many against the Giants? They just couldn't finish the game. This week,
No.
they were able to finish, and respects to Dobbs, and his jersey should have been in their pro shop or whatever at the stadium. So I'm glad it's finally there now because listen, dude's a dog right now. But I would still say we got to wait to see what Dobbs does this coming week before anyone gets any crazy ideas. But I would love to see Dobbs start
Yeah.
running it there in Arizona because I mean, coming into the year, I thought Arizona was going to be the worst team by far. Because I mean, every people were demanding trades. I mean, Kyler Murray was injured, but now, I
Yeah.
mean, after these past 2 weeks, I'm like, Arizona on paper they should be the worst team, I think, but
Yeah.
they they're doing well, and I was happy to see them win. I was rooting for the upset. I usually root for the upsets, so I was happy to see the upset there.
Yeah, I mean, with Arizona, I mean, like you said, I mean, they just couldn't get it done against the Giants, but like, I mean, they should have won that game. I mean, like, go figure. I don't think Arizona is that terrible. I mean, I don't think they're like some Super Bowl contending team,
Mm,
but I
far from
mean,
it.
yeah, far from it, but they might not be as bad as we think. And it will be interesting to see when Kyler Murray does come back from his IR pup list or whatever the heck he's still on right now, because he's still out dealing with his ACL tear that he got last year. And that is why he's still out this season. I don't know when he is supposed to come back. He's still sitting on my IR currently in fantasy. But it'll be really interesting to see what the Cardinals end up doing, in the event that Kyler Murray stinks, or if he's just not connecting as well as like Joshua Dobbs is. I mean, like I said, I don't think Joshua Dobbs is going to be like some huge difference maker. I mean, after all, he
Mm-mm.
is pretty later in his career to be like a dynasty player. But hey, you
Hmm.
know what? He could be one of those surprise guys that actually, once the team gets developed, you might not even have to tank for Caleb Williams because everyone was like, the Cardinals are
Hmm.
going to tank for Caleb Williams, and they might not even have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that they should, to be honest. I don't
You
think
think so?
Kyler Murray is the guy. I think they should tank. Well, not purposefully tank, but I think they should try to get Caleb Williams if they can.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be in stiff competition with the Bears for
Yeah.
worst team in the league.
But,
Uh,
like, what are you gonna do? Because like the Broncos aren't that good, the Bears aren't
yeah,
that good,
no.
and speaking of Broncos, we're gonna have to talk about that game here. But like, which team would like fit that scheme of Caleb Williams though? Like, just like out of your opinion, because like
I
I
think he would
I
fit
don't
really
know.
well in Arizona, to be honest. I think that'd be a great fit for him there. I even if the Bears do have the first overall pick, there's still like a lot of hype behind Justin Fields. Or
Mm,
there's still a little bit of hype behind Justin Fields. Do you think they would abandon him so quickly and go for Caleb Williams? I think Arizona is really in like that prime spot to try to get Caleb
yeah,
Williams.
that's a good point because. Yeah, they came coming into this season. A lot of people were like, Justin Fields is going to be so good, and there is a chance he still ends up being good, but like
I
we
don't
haven't
think so.
seen it. I haven't
I
seen
I
it.
am not a Justin Fields guy, and
I can't stand him.
the Bears are bad. I think the Bears are the worst team in the league, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no,
Justin Fields is in a bad spot, but I do not think Justin Fields is that guy. I mean, everyone has seen the clips of him sitting there scanning the field, and he'll have two receivers open up over the middle, and he'll duck it and run and get sacked. Like I do not think Justin Fields is that guy. But
no.
I don't think they should abandon him right. I don't know. It's because Caleb Williams, like he's going to be. maybe a double back-to-back Heisman winner? Like, do you skip that opportunity because you want to maybe hope Justin Fields pans out? I don't know. There's a long time till the end of the season to see who's slated for that first overall pick, but I would want to see him go to Arizona because I think he'd be a good fit for Arizona.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably have to agree. I mean, I don't want to see him in Denver. I mean, they got to deal with Russ for the next 5 years, so I don't think
Let
Denver is going to
Russ
draft
cook.
him. I think they're going
Russ
to
cook.
let Russ cook.
Let Russ cook.
I don't think. And speaking of Russ cooking, you know what he was not cooking up? He was cooking up in a disaster on
Yeah.
Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. I feel like everyone has talked about this. I mean, even people that don't even watch the NFL was like, "Holy crap! How do you manage to put up that many points in an NFL game?" Because that's unheard of. Last time I saw that high scoring of a game that wasn't NFL based was in college when James Conner blew up Syracuse and it was like a 75-50 final. It was like a
hmm
basketball score, but it was football. And
hmm
so the Dolphins Broncos game, I didn't watch much of it because it was just such a blowout. I was just watching it on my phone, but like I don't know if you watched it or like what you have to say. I mean, do you think the Dolphins are legit? Because like I kind of think they could make a run for the AFC like title this year. I mean,
hmm
I think Patrick Mahomes and like Kansas City are okay. They've still got some wide receiver problems over there, still dropping some balls. I think the Bills are still solid, but for some reason they love to choke in the playoffs. And then the Bengals, they just haven't gotten it figured out. I mean, Joe
Slow start.
Burrow, yeah, they Joe Burrow, like he has less touchdowns than Kenny Pickett does, and everyone's roasting Kenny Pickett.
hmm
So I don't know yet. I mean, it might be too soon to call, but like, what do you think of this Dolphins offense and I guess defense too? I mean,
Listen, I'll tell you right now, the Dolphins are legit. The Dolphins are what because it starts at the top. All right, you, Mike McDaniel's stud. All right, dude is like what I've learned from this week is an offensive oriented head coach will take you a long way. McDaniels, you look at like Andy Reid, Shanahan with like the Niners, all these teams are great. So like the offensive minded head coaches will take you far. And especially when you have weapons to work with. You have all the fastest players in the league on your offense.
and
I
Waddle didn't even play.
and Waddle did not even play. Like the Dolphins are definitely legit. Now it's just a matter of honestly, I think it comes down to Tua. Like if Tua can keep this up, the Dolphins will go far.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I was saying. I mean, as long as the one thing that will plague them the worst would be long-term injuries. Like, luckily,
hmm
luckily Waddle. I was gonna say Jalen Warren, but luckily, luckily Waddle is not going to be out for too long. Um, it doesn't look like it's long term. I know last season when the Dolphins were like struggling to get into playoffs and stuff, they were dealing with a lot of injuries. Like Tua was getting hurt. A lot of
hmm
players were just like getting hurt or just like pulling their hammies and questionable to play and stuff like that. I feel like if this team can just run with what they've got and like really push forward, this team could be really dynamite. But there is a player that everybody is talking about because apparently he is now the greatest thing since sliced bread, and honestly, he could be. But a Chan, is that how he said it was? Because a lot
I
of
think
people are
it
saying
is.
it's not a chain,
It's not a chain. It's a Chon. I think
it's
it's
a
Devin
Chan.
Achon.
Yeah, so a Chan,
Davion Achon, something like that.
yeah, it's something like that. But Achan is like super
Stud.
high projected on waivers. He had
Stud.
53 fantasy points, which is like the most I swear I've ever seen in my life. It
Stud.
was insane. Like,
Yeah.
do you think like I'm not saying like he's gonna get 50 points every game, but do you think like his like consistent production of like maybe 18 points a game will continue?
I don't even I don't know about that, but I do think they will use him more in this offense now. I think after that game, you will 100% see plays designed for him and you will see plays designed for Mostert. They will 100% get both of them involved cuz I mean, he's a playmaker, he's a dog, he's a stud. Like you
Yeah,
got to get the ball in his hand. Everyone they have on offense there is a dog, all right? You get the ball in their hands, they're going to make something happen. So 100% I think he will see an increase in use. I don't know about. I mean, obviously he's not getting 50 points a week. I, I'd be happy if he would get 12, 13, 14, 15 points a week around there. I could see that happening. I think he'll probably be touchdown dependent, but he's a dog. They're gonna get him involved for sure.
yeah. I mean, because they've been utilizing Mostert a lot, and I think one of the things is like I've noticed when it comes to fantasy football, I have Mostert in a lot of leagues here, and Mostert, I feel like, has been blowing up these last couple of weeks, getting like 25, 30 points. He even had 45 this past week. I
Yeah,
mean, that's still really dang good. But like,
he's
if you
the
can
number
afford to,
one fantasy running back right now
is he
because
really?
yeah, he had like it was like and like in full PPR it was like 20, 25, 45. Like
Jeez
he's
Louise.
he somehow outscored McCaffrey, who's also a dog. So it's like it, people are sleeping on Mostert still, I think. Like you don't
Yeah,
hear people talk about Mostert enough. Dude is a beast. He's fast. Like he's an animal. I mean, his only problem with the 49ers was that he was hurt a lot. But
yeah.
that's just the curse of the Niners where their backs get hurt.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did notice that. Yeah, luckily, knock on wood here, Christian McCaffrey doesn't get hurt,
Hey,
but
McCaffrey played a full season last year, I think. So hopefully
let's hope.
that is behind him. But yeah, Mostert, he does not get enough praise, I think, because he is still a very solid back, and he fits very well for that Miami offense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and I mean, like, and if you have a Chon and you have Mostert, like, you have the craziest running back duo, and you have the craziest wide receiver duo too, like, or one of the
Yeah.
craziest. You can't say craziest because like people will yell at you because you still have like Burrows or Burrow, Chase, and Higgins.
hmm
And like like a lot of people like compete with that. Some people even are trying to throw the Justin Jefferson, um, Jordan
Jordan
Addison
Addison,
duo.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
some people are trying to throw that in there.
there are a lot of good receiving cores in the league. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I mean, Waddle, Hill, Tua, I mean, they're towards the top, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
like without question. How do you feel about McDaniel holding off on like breaking the record for the game? Like he could have kicked that field goal to break the record, but he held off on it.
I was a little disappointed. I know Josh was very disappointed because Josh really wanted them to break the record, especially since I forget who they said there. I think one of the coaches said that like somebody sucked or something like that. In Denver. Um, like oh shoot, I totally forget. But somebody said that like one of the guys sucked or like one of the players was not good, and then all of a sudden like they win 70-20 over the
hmm
Broncos, and like I wish that they would have broken the record, but it's still very impressive to put up 70 points in a football game that you didn't even really need to do that. I feel like it kind of at that point would have been more like an FU. And like
hmm
at any point, like granted, the Broncos aren't going to see the Dolphins anytime soon here, but like if the Broncos happen to see the Dolphins again down the road, they might like get angry or whatever and like turn
Yeah.
into like a legit rivalry for no reason. If it's just like we're gonna kick a field goal, like it's Matt. Now if it was me and Madden, heck yeah, I would have kicked the field goal. I probably would have kicked the field goal if I was McDaniels. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean it's I understand why he did it or he did it. I mean he's got a lot of class for it. I mean he was what like the ball boy for Denver and
Yeah.
they didn't even give him the opportunity to be the coach there, and then now he beats his old team by 50. So I think there's a lot of good things happening at Miami, and I think McDaniel is he's proving to be an elite coach in this league right now, and I think that move right there proves that too, because there was a lot of class there. I would not have done. I would have been like, "Give me all the glory, kick that field goal. My team's highest scoring game ever, baby. Let's go."
Yeah, no, I I probably would have done the exact same thing, which is it's so funny, but I probably would have. I mean, there's definitely something going through his mind that he didn't want to, but man, that offense just insane. I mean, because like the fantasy football defense points, like I know sometimes the viewers get mad when we use projections on fantasy, but hey, listen, guys, anybody out there that's gonna like trash us on this, you know how accurate it is when it comes to these fantasy points. Like the Miami's defense only put up 6 points because I think they only had like a fumble recovery or something like that, but
hmm
like, you know, that means that the majority of it was not defense, it was offense. And that is impressive as crap. I mean, it's great though. I mean, like the defense, yeah, they have a decent defense, but their offense is just so magnificent right now that they don't even have to worry about the defense. Now, this is honestly like this could be, a hot take, but like, if they keep up at the pace, like if they keep winning like actually like legit games and they don't get shut down on offense, they could be up there with like a crazy offensive scheme like the Steelers were with the Killer Bees, because you know
Hmm.
how elite that was with like you had Ben, AB, Le'Veon Bell. That team was just crazy offensively. I mean, even that following year, we blew out the. I think they were also 6-2 at the time. The 6-2 Carolina Panthers, we blew them out 55-14. Like it was just insane. Panthers fell apart after that. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, it's a weird take, but it's definitely something to look out for. You know.
Yeah, it honestly it kind of does remind me of that. But this Miami team has a much better defense than that Killer B Steelers team did.
If
So
I,
like you get your defense gets a turnover, couple stops, you're gonna outscore your opponent. I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds like you can't lose. I mean, obviously anything could happen, and they
mhm.
probably will lose a game, because nothing's perfect. But I do get kind of get that vibe. Like as long as it takes a lot of pressure off the defense. You just got to get a couple stops, and then you can trust your offense is gonna rack up points.
Yeah, I mean, and then like just thinking about the Steelers, man, like real quick with that, man, if we had TJ Watt at that point, just like even though he was just one piece, I just it does make me wonder how
It'd
that
be a
would have
game
went.
changer. I mean, the secondary was the downfall.
I think,
I
yeah.
think of people like Ross Cockrell and Mike Mitchell and
Uh,
Artie
uh,
Burns. I think of those
Artie
guys, and I'm like,
Burns.
yeah. I don't know if T.J. Watt would have been able to save that team. But hey, I
Yeah.
mean, you look at our record with and without Watt now, maybe who knows?
I mean we yeah, I don't know though. I think that that secondary is just like so much better now for the Steelers than it was like many years ago. You know, like I don't know if it's like like because like now you have like Minka and like you have like some solid linebackers, you got some decent cornerbacks, like you have a decent
Hmm.
defense, and like we're seeing that. So
Yeah, yeah.
it'll be tough to actually call that, but
Yeah, and even now where it's like I'd say like a position that the Steelers desperately need is like a corner.
hmm
And the corners now are like, in my opinion, leagues better than what they were then. So it's like that really puts into perspective like how like that Steelers defense was rough
yeah.
with the Killer Bees.
Yeah, that was oh my gosh, yeah. Because we there were so many games, like so many bad games that we should have won, and it was just because our defense blew it and
Yeah,
our offense just couldn't get going. And like those Patriots games, like even if we had just a little bit of a more decent defense, I wonder how many more Super Bowls we would have went than the Patriots in that time frame. But I don't know. We'll never know. Patriots are the best team ever. Um,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Tom Brady's the goat,
I
so
mean, he is the goat. I mean, I can't knock that. I mean, he is a stud. But you know what? We're gonna switch up here. You know, we're gonna talk about a little bit of an injury here. I know that I mentioned it before we got on the cast here. You know, obviously the Chargers picked up a huge win over the Vikings on Sunday. They beat the Vikings 28-24, really close game. But something that's been cause of concern here is that you know, Williams is out now. He tore his
mhm,
ACL. He
mhm,
was their stud wide receiver for the Chargers here, and now you know they're still dealing with that Austin Eckler injury. He's been out the last few weeks here, and like now he's just starting to hopefully be able to play. You know, they're still not certain, but they still hope that he will play. Um, what do you think will happen now? Do you? I mean, the obviously Chargers picked up a win, and like he did really well in fantasy, and he did well just like production wise. But like,
mhm.
do you think that without Williams, is this team gonna tank? Or like not tank, but like do you think they're gonna just not do
Yeah.
as good?
I mean, it's hard to say because Williams has had a pretty shaky history with injuries, which kind of sucks because like if he would stay healthy, he could be top 12 receiver in the league, I think.
hmm
Um, I I think that I mean you look at the last game, like Keenan Allen had 18 catches. I think he's able to pick up the slack a little bit. Obviously, the team's gonna it sucks to have that loss. But I mean, again, like every year, it feels like they're going without him. So I think they'll be all right. They drafted a receiver this year too, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I know that I know in years past they use like a consistent wide receiver I want to say it was I want to say it was Kelly, but I want to say that that's the backup running back right off the top of my head. But
Quentin Johnston. They just drafted him this
yeah,
year from
yeah, so
TCU.
yeah, so he might be a good wide receiver just as a fill-in because dude's out for the rest of the season. So you got
Hmm.
to figure out something, in LA because without Williams, you got to adapt. Now, obviously, like you said, Keenan Allen had 18 receptions. He also threw a touchdown.
He did throw a touchdown. Yeah, it was
I-
awesome.
Insane, like literally insane, but crazy, crazy. Like you want to talk about like the wildest fantasy week ever? There was players just blowing up all over the map. I swear, like
There
Keenan
was.
Allen blew up. Then you had all the Dolphins players. If you had a Dolphins player this week, good for you because you probably won just based off of those productions. I swear, because if you had Mostert starting or if you had a Chon starting in any of your sleeper leagues or like these deep leagues because your running back like Dobbins or something's hurt and you just stuck him in just to hope, bro, you just came in for a big world of surprise. Like I feel like these players just like blew up and like it was a weird week for fantasy. I will say that, but
Hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like with Williams, I'm interested to see what they'll do because we're still waiting on what Austin Eckler's injury is going to be like. Is he going to be out? Is he going to be slower? I mean, we don't really know how he's going to play production wise yet.
Hmm.
There's a lot of hope and a lot of promise and still a lot of hype around Eckler. I mean, after all, anytime I had like a 1 or 2 pick, I always drafted Eckler in it because I gotta love that guy. But yeah, I mean, so you don't think it'll affect the offense too much here? You don't think it'll affect the team too much?
It will definitely affect the team, but I think that the offense will still. Um, I think the offense will still roll. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like again, it's a big loss, but I think the team will keep rolling. Again, the Chargers. Something's always off with the Chargers. There's always I feel like people are very high on the Chargers coming into the year, and then I don't know what's missing to be honest. Like on paper, you look at the Chargers and you're like, oh yeah, they're pretty good, but they always seem to fall flat. Um, Losing Williams is not going to help with that at all.
mm-mm.
So like I feel like they're on like the fence where it's like they could be really good, but they're still like they're good. But losing Williams, it's going to start pushing them back. It'll hold back. It's a big loss, but I think they'll keep doing what they're doing.
All right, yeah. So I mean, we'll see what the Chargers do this week, without Williams, and we'll see if Eckler ends up playing. It looks like this week that the Chargers are playing the Raiders.
Oh yeah, well,
Raiders at Chargers. So we'll
that,
see how well that offense does against that Raiders defense.
yeah. I feel like we'll see who kind of steps up into that wide receiver two role, whether it's Palmer or Johnston.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll see who fills in.
yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, that'll be to be determined here. I think that game is played at 4:05, which would make sense because of the weird time zones over there. I mean, time zones are kind of weird, but that's not for this podcast. 41-10 final in Kansas City, and I hate to talk about it, but everybody is talking about it. Travis Kelce and
Oh
Taylor
my
Swift.
God!
Oh, no way. Oh my goodness. This, I guess, is once again, I mentioned sliced bread earlier, but I guess this has to be even better than sliced bread. I
This
mean,
is
that like,
this is
I,
canned bread. This
yeah,
is the next best
this is
thing.
canned bread. Like literally straight from SpongeBob. This is canned bread. And did you see the weird TikTok trend that's going on over there too? Where they're like these like girls. So these girls are going up to their like spouses or significant others or just I guess guy friends that they have in the office or just in general, and they're saying that Taylor Swift made Travis Kelce relevant.
Oh, okay. So that came from the New Heights podcast,
Okay.
Jason and Travis's podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear about any of
Yeah,
this.
Jason was like, "How does it feel that Taylor Swift put you on the map?" And then you
Yeah.
probably have seen that quote all over ESPN every other
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
And then that quote, then they ran with it. At least I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
Yeah, because
Um,
I mean, it just like kind of because now like accounts are posting it and like girls are and like people that don't know the context because obviously like I didn't and like luckily you knew because I wasn't able to have that knowledge. But like I kid you not, like I saw it on like not TikTok, I saw it in an Instagram like compilation, and it
yeah.
was just like girls telling uh, their guy friends, significant others, spouses, etc. that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map, and like these guys just get so unbelievably furious. And I
Hmm.
agree. It's just like, I didn't know who Travis Kelce was until Taylor Swift. And he was like, he's the best tight end in the league, maybe even of all time. And they're like, nah, nah, nah. Taylor Swift made him relevant. I mean, it was just frustrating me. I mean,
It
it
is.
like made everybody angry.
Listen, I like to check Instagram when I'm watching the games because they post all the highlights.
Hmm.
So when that Chiefs game is going on, every single post from every sports account was Taylor Swift is in the building. And then if she blinked, they're like, dude, no way. She blinked. Travis Kelce scored a touchdown. They're like, he did that for Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
dude, I go on, I see Adam Scheffner posting it, and I'm like, oh god. Like
Yeah,
every sports account, even now, it's still like every single post, NFL, ESPN, Sports Center, Bleacher Report, anything football related had that. One post, you give me one post, and I'm like, okay. Even the
yeah,
announcers when the game during the game, they kept cutting the Taylor Swift. I get it was a blowout, so it's like you don't have much to talk about. But I'm like, oh man, like I'm tired of seeing it. Like,
yeah.
hey, listen, good for Travis. That is a W. All right, Travis Kelce, that is a huge W. But you
And
don't need to keep rubbing it in my face. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it.
well, and not only that, but like every apparently Travis Kelsey's like jersey sales have like skyrocketed like something absurd.
Yeah.
This might be over exaggerating, but it was like 800% up.
Listen, Taylor Swift has a huge reach, and I didn't understand the full scope until now. But like, yeah, hey, I get it. I might have to cop a Travis Kelsey jersey too.
Oh, so but you don't think this is like I know some people have been commenting this. You don't think this is a marketing scheme, right? You think Travis Kelsey actually
Nah.
bagged that Taylor deal.
No, I don't think they're in a relationship. I think like
They're just like
I
friends.
I, no, I think things could be building to that. I don't think it's like oh they're dating. There it is. Uh, but I think they could be. I think something could be there. I think something could be brewing. I don't need all the sports accounts and every news station and news network to let me know. If it happens, it happens. It's must be a slow news day because I mean my everything. Even now, I'm still seeing it. I'm sick of seeing Taylor Swift on Sports Center. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, when it comes to news this week, I mean, there wasn't like anything like crazy eventful. I mean, like I feel like this has just been filler because, like, I mean, obviously, like when it comes to other sports, like now Bleacher Report is actually talking about things that aren't Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift related. But
Hmm.
we don't talk about that on this podcast. But they're talking about Damian Lillard. They're talking about the NBA
Big trade,
because that was a
big,
huge trade before the
huge.
season. But like, I think they're finally kind of like going off that because that was the big news of the week when it comes to sports. But I
Yeah,
mean, like when it came to the NFL, I think like the biggest thing that I saw was like like that Trevor Simeon signing. Like it wasn't anything like I don't really notice
yeah,
any. I mean, obviously there's injuries and stuff, but like I feel like
yeah,
that was probably like the most eventful thing. But like it's not like he's gonna start. I mean, they're still gonna probably have Zach Wilson start. So
yeah. I understand why they're doing it because, like we said, Taylor Swift has a huge reach, so they're really like getting all the media attention, all this. I saw something. Do the Chiefs play the Jets this week?
yes, the Chiefs do in fact play the
Yeah,
Jets.
and I
They
guess
play at Jets.
yeah, I guess I saw something.
Yeah, I saw that
Taylor
too.
Swift was going to be there too. I don't know. Could be. I don't know if it's factor cap, but if she's there, just brace for impact because the next few games she's there. Oh, brother.
Yeah, it's absurd to me. I like I said, I'm happy for him, but like
It's cool.
these
I mean,
media outlets are
yeah,
just shoving it down my throat to the point where I'm just gonna like despise it. And then if they break up, Taylor Swift's gonna write like a 50-song album about
I've
how much
thought
she
about that.
hates like
Uh,
just like and I was like, I don't poor
yeah,
Travis, you don't deserve
I
that.
couldn't help but think about that. I don't think they're dating.
No, I
I
think
think
I honestly I think they're just friends. I really don't think they're dating.
I think things could be. I think things could escalate.
But if
I don't think
anything,
they're at the dating phase yet, but who
I
knows?
just if anything, I would hope that if anything does come of it, let's just hope they get married, man. Let's just hope that they get married because like I would hate for, you know, like Travis.
You'd never hear the end of it if they got married
Yeah,
on all from all the sports networks. I
it's bittersweet right now. I don't know how
it
to feel
is.
about it because on top of that, like from like a guy's standpoint, like you don't want to get swifted. Like, would you want? I wouldn't want my boy Travis Kelce to get swifted. Like that'd be just unfortunate, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the funny comparison where it's Kelce and Swift, and the
Yeah.
Eagles was also Kelce and Swift.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Yeah, you don't want to see him get swifted. I don't think it. I honestly, I don't think it'll go that far.
No.
I just like after one day of nothing but, dude, Taylor Swift was at the Chiefs game. No
Yeah.
way. Yeah, it's listen. I get it, but I don't. Me personally, I don't care. I do not care.
So, well, I'm glad that you were able to talk about that, but in like 2 hours, by the time this comes up, it may have already been starting to play, but nonetheless, let's talk about Thursday night a little bit here. You know, we've got a good matchup here because, like I said, it's not been a super eventful news week, and there's some Jets talk that we're gonna do. We're gonna go a little bit more on the analyst side with Trevor Simeon joining Zach Wilson and the Jets on Saturday. We're going to get those segments up with Stan coming up here in a couple of days. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss Colin Kaepernick writing his practice squad letter about wanting to lead the practice squad, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know how you felt about that, but I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest, but it's just odd because he's been out of football for so long.
yeah.
But nonetheless, Thursday night football, Lions, Packers. What do you think about this game? And honestly, do you have an idea of what the outcome could be?
Give me the Lions, baby. I am
You want the
high
Lions?
on the Lions. Dan Campbell is the man. I think the Lions, they're clicking right now. They got something figured out. That pass rush has been going insane these past couple weeks. Aiden Hutchinson is dog. Give me the Lions. My prediction for the game, I'm gonna say like 24-14. I think
Okay.
that's gonna be my prediction for the game. Yeah, give me the Lions. I think Jared Goff has always I've Jared Goff has gotten a lot of hate.
Hmm.
But I've always thought that he was an above average quarterback.
Yeah.
He hasn't been like super elite. He hasn't been, at least he hasn't been elite since that Rams Super Bowl run in what, like 2018.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Um,
I forgot about that. You know, the Rams did go to the Super Bowl that year, and they did
yeah,
lose to the Patriots
well,
13-3.
forgettable, horrible Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the Lions are clicking right now. I would not be surprised if they win that division.
Honestly, I mean, they probably are the favorites right now. I mean,
Them and the
look at
Packers, I'd imagine.
yeah, I mean, so that's why I think this game is going to be so much fun to watch because there's so much around it so early on in the season that the two powerhouse divisional game like that these two teams are like considered like powerhouse divisional teams right now, and honestly they could be, both fighting for the division come, week 16 or 17. We don't really know where they're going to be come then.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really, at this point in time, I don't know if the Vikings are going to be able to come back from this. Like they're already 0-3. It's
Yeah,
they got to start winning here.
yeah, they do. I mean, I've seen like people wanting like Kirk Cousins to get traded. I've seen things where like people want the Jets to trade for Kirk Cousins. Like I don't know. It is a weird spot for Minnesota because I mean Rogers just leaving this offseason, I'm sure Minnesota fans were hype. They're like
Yeah,
probably very confident that they could take the division. But I mean, to be fair though, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure their three losses have all been pretty close. Like they haven't
yeah.
gotten like blown out at all. Like
No,
the games could have gone either way.
let me look up the Vikings score real quick here. Just real quick from the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they still have
They
Justin Jefferson out there.
Yeah, they've lost all close games by one score. Their first loss was against the Bucks. Week 1, 20-17.
Easy
Second
bake.
week,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, 34-28 to the Eagles, and then 28-24 to the Chargers. So it's not like they're just not finishing, is
Yeah.
more or less what's happening.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. I mean, you still have Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league. Um, Madison, I think I think he's going to start to get rolling here. I think he'll start to prove
I hope.
why they wanted him to be or why they trusted him to be the starter. I think he'll get that going. So I wouldn't count the Vikings out just yet, but being down, I mean, Packers and Lions 2-1, they're 0-3. They got to play catch up, unfortunately. So I wouldn't count them out just yet, though. I wouldn't
But
count them out just yet.
but nonetheless, I mean, so you're going with the Lions.
I'm for sure going with the
Yeah,
Lions.
it's
I'm on the line. I
24-14.
I am on the Lions bandwagon right now, to be completely honest.
Okay. I mean, listen, I respect that. I mean, in my honest opinion, right now, I'm on like a little bit of the Dolphins bandwagon. I'm in the Fins Up broadcast channel on Instagram. I have a Minka Fitzpatrick Miami Dolphins jersey in my closet, in my upstairs in Pittsburgh, in my house. I do have that. Connor has seen it, and I've worn it before. I might
It's
even wear it on
nice.
the show one of
It's
these couple
nice.
of weeks.
It's
It's
that nice
inverted.
orange.
Yeah,
Love the Dolphins colors.
yeah, and I mean, like, and I was gonna go down to Miami at some point this fall, but it's gonna be like practically impossible. So I am like kind of like low key like a Dolphins fan, but like obviously Steelers all the way, and I know you would say the same thing.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the Lions, though, in my prediction, when it comes to this, so 24-14 for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I really like Green Bay. Don't get me wrong, I do like Green Bay, but I don't think they necessarily have everything figured out yet.
Mhm.
And I do think that the Lions might just end up getting that win. Now, granted, the Lions are playing at the Packers,
Mhm.
but the Lions have won on Thursday Night Football more recently than we thought, and it was against the Super Bowl defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. So it wasn't by a lot, but
They
I
didn't
think
have
it's
Kelsey either. They
they
did
didn't
not
have
have Kelsey.
Kelsey either. But the one thing about the Lions though is a player that's kind of like an unsung hero right now, Laporta.
I knew you were gonna go with Laporta. I
I
knew it was gonna
you
come
know
up.
Laporta, like I don't know, he's kind of filling that role that T.J. Hawkinson had in Detroit for a while, and he's really filling that role well. So they
Yeah.
really have like they're kind of like they're figuring it out pretty quickly on. So it might be a closer game, but honestly, I'm not going to go 24-14. I think it's going to be a little closer than that, just because it's in Green Bay, it's at Lambeau Field. 2017, but it's a Lions game-winning field goal.
Oh. Yeah. I feel like uh Green Bay fans are very passionate. They're like Steeler fans, where like if the Green Bay offense is doing bad, they will let them know and they will boo. And
Yeah,
I think Jordan Love isn't completely comfortable yet. So I think if that were to happen, he may get a little bit the offense may get a little bit rattled, and then
hmm
at that point the Lions would then just run away with it. Um, I think the Lions defense is underrated. I'm starting them in fantasy this week. They're projected five. They were projected five last week. They had 16. They had 7 sacks last week. I don't know if you
yeah.
knew that.
Oh, I
Insane.
actually didn't know that off the top of my head. No, that's
Insane.
crazy.
I only knew that because I checked the stats in fantasy. They had 7 sacks. But I think that defense is underrated. That pass rush is good. Um, and I think they will bring it. And uh, I this is a big game, I think, for the Packers more than the Lions. Obviously, it's big for both of them. But
hmm
if the Packers can win this and get to the top of the division, like that's them just like being like, hey, even without Rodgers, we're still the best team
Yeah,
in this
and
division.
we're and
Don't
we're
get
just
any funny ideas.
yeah, which will be really impressive to see because if Green Bay can actually like pull this out and like in the couple of weeks, even if they lose tonight and they pull out the next couple of weeks and they end up like actually winning the division again with Jordan Love, like you know how crazy Green Bay fans are going to be after that because they're
Oh
going to be
yeah,
like
it's gonna be
the next
awesome.
Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be fun though. It'll be
I
fun.
think, hey, Love's got it. I think it's more of a matter of time until
hmm
he really like settles in. Because like the thing with Rodgers was like, dude was always cool, calm, and collected.
Yep,
Always very chill, always very mellow, and
absolutely.
it translated into games. I mean, how many Hail Marys has he had against? the Lions alone. Was it 2 against the Lions?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, let alone like all the other teams. So it's like, I think once everything gets settled in, because he has the talent. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets figured out. But I still think the Lions will win tonight.
Well, I'll have to agree here. Do you have anything else you would like to add before we close out here today?
Anything I want to
Anything,
add?
anything at all.
Uh, I hope the Steelers win confidently, and I hope Kenny Pickett looks how he looked in preseason. I'm a Kenny Pickett bandwagon because I'm a big Pitt guy all around. I I don't know if Kenny's got it. He needs to prove that he's got it.
Hmm.
Uh, so I hope we see a little hint of that. Um, Other than that, I'm just looking forward to all the games this weekend.
Yeah, and we may just be talking about that come next week. How you thought of those games and whatnot, depending on how the schedules go with me and you and everybody else. There's a lot of people that I still like. Stan still wants to record at some point, so we're gonna get him on there. Alvarado's gonna come on at some point, and these are people that Connor has never met, but they have been on the show. For those of you that are frequent watchers, so but yeah, I mean, when it comes to Kenny Pickett, I've said it before too. I'm a huge Pitt fan. I love Kenny Pickett, and I will 100% agree with you on that. He needs to play more like the college days, and I think against the Raiders, he was showing that, but only time will tell when it comes to this Sunday. But before I waste all of your time, because I know you guys are all on a busy schedule at home, and I don't know what you guys are doing. You're getting ready for Thursday Night Football. You could be sitting in your dorm room. Never know what you're going to be up to. We're going to just close out right here. I am not Josh, so this spiel may not be the best, but I'm going to attempt it here. But first and before I even get into it, I want to thank Connor. Thank you so much for coming on, being my co-host today. It's kind of weird being on the opposite end of it. I won't lie, because usually I'm in your shoes and I'm always the one getting asked questions and bouncing off of Josh. So I appreciate you being that guy today, and I hope to have you on the show again at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you and Josh letting me on today. Um, I have a lot of opinions about
Yeah.
football, so it's fun to come on and kind of throw them out there and bounce them off each other. And I'm interested to kind of see if anyone else kind of agrees with what we had to say today. I feel like what we said wasn't too out
No.
there, especially with the Steelers. Everything's been said about the Steelers at this point.
Yeah.
It's all just playing on loop and repeat. But I'm interested to see what everyone else thinks as well.
Yeah. So, with that said, thank you all so much for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed, please remember to give us a like, comment, and subscribe. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube at No Buts Show. Our social media pages are No Buts _ show on Instagram and No Buts Show on TikTok, which is actually empty right now. So if you go there, you might just be one of the first followers, but you can go check it out. We're going to try to start pumping out some content there. So that is our TikTok. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at bullmoosepodcast2 at gmail.com. That is the number 2 at gmail.com. Bullmoosepodcast2 at gmail.com. Finally, our spread shop will be in the description, so check out our merch. And once again, if you enjoyed today's show, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, go do something nice for somebody else. Bye bye.